You have queued up the Roulette Tapes, a program of adventurous music and conversation recorded at the New York City Concert Hall, Roulette. You can hear thousands of concert recordings from Roulette's past and present and find news of upcoming events celebrating innovation and imagination at roulette.org. Aren't you curious?
Welcome to another episode of the Roulette Tapes. I'm Susan James. Today we feature drummer and composer Tomas Fujiwara, and we'll hear his work in 4 different performance settings, all available online in the Roulette Concert Archives. Toma discusses each of these performances and shares with us details of his Roulette residency. Let's listen.
My name is Tomas Fujiwara. I'm a drummer, composer, band leader, and collaborator based in Brooklyn, New York. My first 2 experiences with the drums, one was a recording and one was a performance. So I grew up in the Boston area and in the Cambridge public school system at the beginning of every school year, the teachers of the various instruments would go and do a demonstration at a school-wide assembly. And Keith Gibson was the drum teacher, and I'll never forget, he set up a snare drum and he played a roll from fast to slow and loud to soft. And I was completely captivated by the sound and the presence and the power. I couldn't get it out of my head and out of my ears, that sound. And the other was a record that I found in my mother's record collection called Rich versus Roach. It was kind of a battle of the bands type recording of Buddy Rich's band versus Max Roach's band. And the cover, if you see it, is really cool. It's the 2 of them sitting at their drum sets, kind of in a dueling pose. And I just thought it looked cool. And so I put it on the record player. And I specifically remember Max Roach's solos on the hi-hat. I had no idea what that sound was, but that was equally mesmerizing as Keith Gibson's drum roll on the snare. So I went to my mother and I said, I want to play drums. And I'm sure she had her reservations, but she was very supportive towards me and set about trying to find a recommendation for a drum teacher. I was very fortunate that drum teacher was a woman by the name of Joyce Koofman, who is a drummer and really a multi-instrumentalist. She can play anything and is a great teacher and was a great first music teacher and someone that introduced me not just to the drums, but also to the sounds and functions of all the instruments. And so that was an amazing experience. I studied with her for 2 years, and then she moved out west and she recommended me to her drum teacher, who was Alan Dawson. And I studied with him for 8 years. Hopefully many of your listeners will know him as a great drummer and performer as well as teacher. And I studied with him for 8 years before moving to New York. So Seven Poets Trio was a group that I put together a few years ago with Tomeka Reid on cello and Patricia Brennan on vibraphone. I had known both of them for a few years. Tomeka through the group Living by Lanterns, and especially through her quartet, the Tomeka Reid Quartet. We had been doing a lot of playing and touring and recording in the years leading up to me putting together the Seven Poets Trio. And Patricia, I had also known for a few years, more than a few years now at this point, but I met her through Michael Formanek's ensemble Colossus. Aside from just both being amazing musicians, very creative, very versatile, very inquisitive, very supportive, they both are really incredibly good people that bring a certain joy to any situation they're a part of. And so I had this idea to work specifically with them and also to explore this unique instrumentation of drum set, cello, and vibraphone. And I asked them if they'd like to be a part of it. And when they said yes, I got to work writing music specifically for the three of us, which we performed a number of times, and then recorded an album, which is on Rogue Art. And this performance at Roulette was our CD release, where we performed all the compositions from the CD. Thumbscrew is myself on drums, Michael Formanek on bass, and Mary Halvorson on guitar. So Thumbscrew is a true collective, collaborative ensemble. We feel very strongly about making that clear, and it's something that's really important to us. We've been a band for almost 10 years now. We've recorded 6 albums. And the performance at Roulette, actually that week we were supposed to be performing at the Village Vanguard for a week. This is in October of 2020. Obviously the pandemic made that impossible. And also that week was the week of Mary Halvorson's 40th birthday. And so we were, planning to have an especially celebratory week. We were very thankful that Roulette was able to provide us the opportunity to perform anyway in a very safe and supportive environment. We actually did this concert right on Mary's 40th birthday. So it was a great opportunity for the three of us to play together for the first time since the pandemic, to celebrate Mary's 40th and to play a lot of compositions that we hadn't played live much at that point. Some of them were from our album that came out in July, the Anthony Braxton Project, where we explored a lot of previously unrecorded compositions by the great Anthony Braxton in celebration of his 75th birthday, and also a book of originals, which just came out in February on our 6th album entitled Never Is Enough. So it was a really special moment for many reasons. So Triple Double is a group that I put together maybe 4 or 5 years ago. Again, like most of the groups I've put together, it's really about the specific musical personalities of the people involved. It also has somewhat of a unique mirrored instrumentation of 2 brass, 2 guitar, and 2 drums. The members of the group are myself and Gerald Cleaver on drums, Mary Halvorson and Brandon Seabrook on guitars, and Taylor Hobynum on cornet, and Ralph Alessi on trumpet.
For the November 7th performance by Triple Double at Jazz Fest Berlin, Adam O'Farrell was subbing on trumpet for cornetist Taylor Hobynum.
So we recorded one album that's come out and another one that I'm currently mixing and mastering for release this year. The Berlin Jazz Festival was in November 2020. The group was supposed to be on tour at that time. Obviously, we couldn't do that, but it was great that the festival and Roulette and I think a couple other venues in Berlin came together to try to put on a festival anyway. So we performed the day that the election results were made official. Needless to say, Brooklyn was celebrating and breathing a sigh of relief. And it was a really beautiful day. We arrived at Roulette in the afternoon because our concert was going to be live streamed in Berlin as well. Again, it was just great to see everybody. Some of the members of the ensemble I hadn't seen since March, and it was great to play music together and be a part of a very cool festival, very cool solution to kind of the challenges of the time. I'm looking forward to doing more with this group. Like I said, we have a new album coming out this year. Hopefully we'll be back out on the road when that's possible. So as part of my residency at Roulette, I really wanted to work with Meshell Ndegeocello. We've been talking about making music together for several years. I met her through Martina Roberts, who's a close friend and collaborator for many years. So yeah, over the years, Meshell and I have played some music, have corresponded about music, and when the Roulette residency came up, I thought that was a perfect opportunity to see if we could collaborate for one of my concerts. And so I asked her, she was into it, she was available, and then it was a really great collaborative process leading up to it. I would, send her tracks of music that I was writing, and we would get together and really just kind of play using those materials and play using those songs. And each rehearsal was different, which was really great. And so the performance had for me a great balance of spontaneity and also intention and preparedness. It was really a dream come true in a lot of ways to get to do this with her as part of my residency.
Where you going?
On May 14th, I'll be presenting the second concert of my Roulette residency. The piece I'll be premiering is entitled Shizuko, which is my grandmother's first name. It's dedicated to her, inspired by her. Shizuko in Japanese means quiet child. I just drew a lot of inspiration from her in thinking about the music and thinking about the concept for that performance. And I'll be joined by Taylor Howe-Bynum on cornet, Tomeka Reid on cello, Rafik Bhatia on guitar, and David Vieira on percussion. The music is still kind of coming together. I'm reflecting a lot, I guess, in a broad sense of what it means to be Asian in this country, what it means to be Asian American in this country, and also to be Hapa in this country and in this culture. So while there are some specific jump off points for me, I also like to leave it open-ended enough for the musicians I'm collaborating with to really insert their own voices into the music and into how the music sounds and comes across, and also invite the listener to engage with it in a personal way and through a kind of a personal lens.
I'm trying to remember the first time I played at Roulette, or the first time I went and saw something there. It was definitely at the Green Street space. But it's just always, to me, felt like a great community of open and creative people, you know, not just musicians, but just kind of creative and expressive minds, and a place to kind of do anything that, there's kind of no limitations. You know, your imagination can kind of run free, and I feel that energy when I perform there with various ensembles, and also when I go and hear music. I remember seeing Anthony Braxton's opera there, where there were two groups of young people doing double dutch in the middle of the performance. You know, things like that. Some great pieces involving, you know, dance and art and film. And as a performer, you know, I've probably played there with all of the meaningful ensembles in my life, you know, ensembles that I've led, or collaborative groups, or groups under other people's leadership. And it has a special vibe to it, where you want to go in and kind of do your best and be very vulnerable with your art and really go for something. And obviously the support of a place like Roulette is very crucial and vital to artists like me. I can't say enough about it or express my appreciation for its existence enough. But it's a very special place and a very important place to me.
Tomas Fujiwara's Seven Poets Trio recorded live at Roulette in September of 2019. The Roulette Tapes is the production of Roulette Intermedium. These programs are made possible in part with support from the National Endowment for the Arts and the Grammy Museum, and are a 2021 Webby Award honoree. I'm Susan James. Thanks for listening, and please be sure to subscribe to the Roulette Tapes through your favorite podcast app.
You have been listening to the Roulette Tapes, a program of adventurous music and conversation. This series is produced by Roulette Intermedium. You can find thousands of concert recordings from Roulette's archives and news of upcoming events at roulette.org.